Mr. Smith, the Subcommittee Chairman on Africa, Global Health, and Human Rights.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Let me just ask Mr. Baer, I guess my question would be to you. Mr. Geer, in his testimony, notes that the Chinese government has intensified its already restrictive policies that undermine Tibetan culture and religion, increasingly so since the 2008 uprisings in Tibet. Tibet remains largely sealed off to the outside world, and he goes on to talk about how hundreds of Tibetans, including monks and nuns, remain in prison for engaging in nonviolent dissent and are subjected to torture or re-education. He concludes in his testimony that China, again, is intensely focused on debate for rational and irrational reasons, and obviously makes a strong appeal and admonishes all of us to push for the autonomy issue as a win-win situation. Now, my question is, what role, in your opinion, does Hu Jintao, the man who, when he was deployed to Tibet in 1989, even before that, he met with the Panchen Lama. Mysteriously, the Panchen Lama, we believe, was murdered. Nobody knows for sure. And it was Hu Jintao who ordered, as we all know, martial law and a crackdown in immediate aftermath when the Dalai Lama got the Nobel Peace Prize. All of this immediately prior to the Tiananmen Square massacre. And then all of a sudden, Hu Jintao is on a meteoric rise, a vertical rise in the government, obviously landing where he is today. So my question is the who factor. Do we fully appreciate the bias, I would call it hatred, that Hu Jintao has towards the Tibetan people, the monks, the Dalai Lama in particular? And when President Obama did meet with him, many of us were profoundly disappointed that when he had his press conference with Hu Jintao at the White House, followed by a state dinner with all the flourishes, that human rights were not addressed by the President of the United States publicly. It was so bad that the Washington Post editorial the next day noted that President Obama defends Hu on rights. And President Obama went on to say that they have a different culture. They have a different political system. Yeah, the culture is one that desperately desires freedom and democracy, and the political system happens to be a brutal dictatorship. Don't offer a defense for that, President Obama, and yet he did. So my question is, and I know you can say how many times we've had dialogues and this and that, but it seems to me that if there's not a focused, concerted, consistent, predictable, absolutely transparent statement from the President of the United States to his counterpart, unelected dictator Hu Jintao, much of what we are trying to do collectively on both sides of the aisle to help the Tibetan people and all those who are suffering in China goes and is laid aside. The who factor, the autonomy, was autonomy raised by the President in his visit with Hu Jintao at the White House or in any other meetings. And again, that press conference will long live in my memory and many others as a grotesquely missed opportunity to. He could have done it in very diplomatic tones, but he didn't. So if you could.
Thank you, Congressman. First of all, I agree with you that President Hu's record on Tibet is not a good one. President Obama engaged him directly on the autonomy issue on his visit, and he also called for him publicly to meet with the Dalai Lama in February of this year. I agree that we need to maintain a focused, concerted effort. We need to not lose focus, and we need to not let things fall by the wayside. We need to continually raise these issues. When I was in Beijing in April with Assistant Secretary Posner for the Human Rights Dialogue, this was raised repeatedly in many meetings with different parts of the Chinese government. And I think that Secretary Clinton and Vice President Biden, most recently when the Chinese were here for the Strategic and Economic Dialogue, made clear that not only the issue of Tibet, which the Secretary raised at length in her meeting with her counterpart, but also the broader issue, the broader repression in China right now is a serious, serious concern. It's problematic for the U.S.-China relationship. As Vice President Biden said, we can't have a firm foundation for that relationship.
You know, on that point, if I could, because I'm almost out of time, Sophie Richardson asks, he has a number of urges to the committee and to the administration that there needs to be an ask for the release of Tibetan prisoners prior to Vice President Biden's visit to China later this summer. Will Vice President Biden ask for the release of those prisoners before his visit and insist upon it?
We routinely ask, and I expect that we will continue to routinely ask for the release of not only Tibetan prisoners but other prisoners. We raised the case of Gao Zhisheng, who you raised. The Secretary has raised his case several times, and we will continue to do that. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.